Hello, this is episode 7.7, and I'm sure this is the last one of my recollections from age 7. Um, so, I have some memories about some of the some of the events or interests that I had as a kid, and my brother had, in which I was also involved. So I have this one memory. In fact, it was the same memory that occurred over and over again, the same event that occurred over and over again, all the way till I was a little older. So, my mother was a lecturer in College of Education, like I said, and I often remember coming back from school or coming back from playing, and there would be a sea of footwear, because obviously in Indian households we leave the footwear outside while going inside. So I would be greeted with a sea of footwear, all in the portico of in the porch, front porch of our home, and I would kind of bypass it, and they were my mom's students, literally, like the living room uh, of the home was brimming with students. That corner wood unit, decorum unit that Mara made for us, my mom would be sitting on it, but there would be students, right, starting from her feet all the way into the living room, piling all the way to the showcase of her living room, to the very edge, and also spilling over into the porch, like. And they all had these, in India, the College of Education, basically they were all just like here, like in the US, training to be teachers. And they had these long record books that I've seen in the USA later many times, and later on in college we used to use them, but as school students we've never seen them. They used to be really long, very nice shape, and that's where they used to write their lesson plans. So this word lesson plan, I heard it like almost on a regular regular basis, almost every day, because that was what my mother was a lecturer in. So every all the time she would be discussing about how to make the lesson plan, how to write the lesson plan, reviewing lesson plans, correcting lessons plans, teaching them how to make lesson plans. So the word lesson plan in our household, or at least for me, that's all I thought my mother did. Like she helped people make lesson plans, and that was a large part of their education, I'm sure. So object of fascination number three, I told you number one was getting my own room, and number two, I forgot what number two was. So obviously it's not that important, but this was number three. I always wanted to have a notebook, that long notebook where you made notes. And this was really my mother going above and beyond, because she really, neither my mom nor my dad were, okay, I'm at work 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 9 to 9, whatever. And once they came home, it was out of sight, out of mind. It was not like that. Both my mom and dad worked very long and very hard after hours too, on their work. At the same time, they also um, did their best to manage the family, uh, maintain maintain their ties in the community, and also raise their children. It was a lot to balance for both of them, but this is one thing. My dad often used to get work home in AGI, In Herbert Sons, he never, in this new company that I was at, that he was at, he never got work home. But I don't know what was worse, getting work home and working over the weekends, or just staying late at work, because he literally stayed late at work. Um, on many Sundays he would work. They would not, back in the day, Saturday was not a weekend for them. They would go to work on Saturday also, both my mom and dad. So my mom never, thought, oh, okay, like I'm home now, I don't need to think about work. She would, if there was an important exam coming up for the students, she would call them home. They would all come home. She would give them extra coaching, extra lessons, no extra cost. Like, she was very passionate about making sure that these students were well prepared. She was also their, friend, philosopher, and guide in many ways. Some of them, I some of them used to come to her for relationship advice. If they were getting married against their will, or they were in love with each other, or somebody broke up with somebody, they would discuss all that with her. So they really saw her as a, source of, as their confidant, and much more than, just their professor. So I didn't really know until many years later that people don't, for their work, don't go so much above and beyond. Around this time, and my something special about my mother, of course, there are many special things about your parents, but something very different about her was that from a very, very, very young age, when we were young, not she, of course, she was young too, she placed a lot of emphasis on making sure that if we had interests outside of her school, that she literally went above and beyond to provide us opportunities to pursue those interests. Many years after I grew up, when I was around 21, 22, only then I realized that it was not normal for other kids my age growing up in India to have those opportunities. I only realized that after I came to US many years later, and after I had kids, because I often used to hear, when we join our in US after we had children, my peers, when we joined our kids in, French classes, or music lessons, or or swimming, or basketball leagues, they would say, wow, the kids here have so many opportunities. We never had those opportunities back in India. These things didn't exist back in India. And what I wanted to say is, actually they did exist, but you had to they didn't exist like around the corner everywhere. You had to go looking for them, but all of those things did exist. And I know, because my mother really went looking for opportunities. Give you simple examples. My mother found out that my brother was very artistic, and never I heard her, or my dad, especially her, she would go all the way to, Abbott's, where this bookstore was, A. Hussein, and she would buy so many, like, drawing and painting books, not just the ones where you fill in colors. She bought those also when he was younger, but very expensive books from that were not even published in India. They were like imported books, which cost a bomb. She would She would buy like pictures on how to draw, how to paint, how to sketch. At some point, he was interested in calligraphy. My dad and mom gifted my brother a very expensive calligraphy set. So it was unheard of, like parents not just encouraging, but literally investing and spending hard earned money in extracurricular activities that my friends' parents did not do that. They would always discourage them, and even uh, they would see, what's going to come out of this. Are you going to make this your profession? Things like that. But my parents never did that. When I was in second grade, my brother wanted to explore a little bit more. He was already a really good painter, really good sketch artist. He had taught himself, but the tools were provided by my parents, and the encouragement certainly was there. Not just from my parents, but from my aunts and uncles. I know my second aunt actually took one of my brother's paintings and kept it in her home, displayed it in a very, prominent position in her home. And there, my I had a fairy tale book, and my brother actually, when he had his accident a couple of years ago, he actually used his left hand, I believe, to complete it. He drew a picture of one of the seven dwarfs out of that fairy tale book. It was a Disney book. It was one of the Disney dwarfs, and that adorned our wall. So he wanted to explore a little bit further, do more with his hands, something artistic. So my brother and my mother together actually found a sculpting class, sculpture. Okay, and I remember this was so far away, very, very far away. So there were times when, he would go in an auto or sometimes in the bus, and they just didn't bat an eyelid, that he was spending so much time and money. They really encouraged him, and also material, because in that sculpting class, I just thought it was stone, but first they teach you how to sculpt with clay. They make you understand form, texture. So I remember he made the face of like an old man, like almost like, I think he resembled that sculpture that he made with clay, resembled Aristotle's the uh, Aristotle's face very much. Maybe that's what they used as a model. I don't know, but it was like an Aristotle face figure with like beard and curls in the beard and things like that. So they really encouraged all that. Around this time, my brother got into photography. And by photography, I don't mean, just taking a camera and clicking pictures. He actually built with his own hands his own photographic studio. And by studio, I don't mean just, lights and nice backdrops where you take pictures. It was actually a lab, a photo development lab, because back in the day, we did not have digital cameras. We had Polaroids. Some people had Polaroids, especially the US, my uncles and aunts in the US. But he actually built a lab where he could develop his negatives. And so there was, in my Bama's room, it was like dark. So he put all these black curtains, painted portion of the wall black, built like a makeshift black walls, bought all the equipment, like all the chemicals to, to do the development, bought the photography paper, and then started experimenting with all these, and so I was his model. And oh my God, I was so supremely elated because the last bonding experience that I had with my brother, was that bike ride that we took before he had his accident, right? And that was 2 years ago when I was 5. After that, always it was back to I was always so intimidated by him. Couldn't like it. So it's almost like the cat caught my tongue or something. I hardly had any like a brotherly relationship. We didn't do anything together. We were so far apart in age. Our friends were different. Our schools were different. Everything, even our personalities were different. But this was one thing where he asked me if I would be his model, and I, of course, felt uh, thrilled. So he would use me as his model, and he would take all these amazing photographs. And my parents, my mother especially, totally encouraged all that. Like, there was never any hesitation at home uh, from my father or from my mother. My father was, never said no. But my mother actually went above and beyond to encourage that. Like, I or my brother had an idea, wanted to explore something, she would actually go and find that avenue to do that. And so I actually remember the pictures that he took of me, all the experiments that he did. There's one picture of me wearing that white dress, and he said, "Let just leave your hair open," and it was very unique. My hair would always be in a single ponytail, and he left my hair open. He got this chart paper and he cut an oval in it, you know. So he was experimenting with vignettes, and he put a vignette, on his camera. It was the traditional style camera, and he took a picture like that. Uh, he might have forgotten this, but for many, many years, and I used to feel so kicked about this, he always said that was his favorite picture of mine. He also said that was his favorite photograph of his for many years. Of course, he was only 14 back then. And there was another picture which, oh my God, it was like magic to me. I couldn't believe it. It was as if I was playing a dual role. Back then, there were a lot of Hindi movies like, Ram Bal Ram, and, this Sita or Gita, where kids of my age were like so kicked that there was the same actor playing two roles. And back then there was a special, I'm sure, so sure this is a very Indian term back then. Even Indians don't use it anymore. When an actor played dual roles, they would call it double action. It's a double action movie. NTR is in double action, so Dilip Kumar is in double action, Amitabh Bachchan is like double action. So, so it was a fun, totally fun thing. Eventually, there were some movies with triple action. There was a movie later on in my life, Mahan, where Amitabh Bachchan plays, you know, triple action. And then there was a NTR movie, Danavira Surakarna, where NTR plays quadruple action, where he plays four roles. I think Krishna, Duryodhana, Karna, and somebody else, Arjuna. I think he literally plays four roles. Uh, so, anyways, so this was something very exciting as a kid to see those dual role movies. I think many of those movies were actually not great in story, but people just went for the novelty. All those movies became big hits. I don't think all those movies were good movies. Some of them were, like the old Dawn and Ram Bal Ram. They were really good. Sita Aur Gita was really good, but some of them were really not that good at all. But they still became hits because people just were so kicked by the novelty of seeing the same person twice. So I have this picture with me even till now. It was so he took two pictures, one of me sitting on a swing, and the other of me standing and looking. So, and then he merged in his lab, he merged these two pictures together and he made one picture. So you could see it was amateurish, but it's still admirable for he was just 14 guys, and he had his own lab, and he actually made this dual role picture of me where I am looking at myself. And mind you, we didn't have any digital equipment then. This was all done through a negative. And There was that picture. And there was another very special picture where my brother and I carried my mom's dressing table out into our front yard, and he made me stand in it. And of course, we didn't have selfies, but this is a kind of a selfie. He made me stand in it. He said, "Let's take a picture together." There's some, and He made me stand in front of it, and then he took a picture of himself. He leaned behind me, and he took a picture of himself and me, both looking into that mirror. Back then, they used to use the dressing table, and actually, this dressing table thing was my idea because in studios back then, brides used to have this flowery pulajada, like flower braid at the back. So they would stand in front of the dressing table so that their braid would show. So I said, I want a dressing table picture. And I think he didn't understand what I wanted because I actually wanted something where my hair would show in the back. And but what he did was much better, and he actually got it outdoors because indoors, and that's the other thing. Back then, very few people had flashes, so it was all about lighting and managing it, and how to do that. His camera didn't have a flash, so it was a pretty sophisticated camera. It's amazing that my parents even let him use it. But again, like I said, they were very encouraging. See, in any other household during that time, if your parents found out that you'd taken one of their most heaviest and most expensive and fragile piece of furniture out into the yard and took pictures and brought it back, I think they would have thrown a fit. I don't think they would have thrown the fit. But my parents were the opposite. They were so encouraging when those pictures came out, right? Like something like this, if a 14-year-old did, I think they would have literally had to hear it from their parents. But we never felt that. So, in all this, more and more I think of it like I don't think we ever feared our parents. We never feared them. We respected them, but they never made us fear them. So, at a very young age, I think I understood the difference between fear and respect. And because I understood that, in many areas, I also understood the respect, even my relationship with God or the Supreme Power. It's more of devotion and it's not fear. So I don't operate, if I don't do this, I'm going to be born as a, as a cockroach or ant, or God is going to punish me. It's not like that. I'm very religious, I'm very spiritual, but I think of it more as, oh, I must have been born as a cockroach in my last life, and God has made me born as a human being, has given me the opportunity to be of use to others and redeem myself, right? So I take that positive approach. I never take anything as a punishment. Even though I've been punished for several things that I'm not even responsible for, but that has never instilled a sense of fear in me. Maybe I lost respect for the person who punished me, but if they thought they could get fear out of me or something, I didn't. So that's one thing. And the other thing is something very unique that my mother did is she knew that she knew that I was not a very athletic child. I was very homebound and playing at home, and but I always liked like swinging. Okay, so so she actually installed like a home like play gym for us, and this was very expensive, and people's homes didn't have those in India. Even now, I don't think they do actually. So it was so progressive, and that like she wanted to spend money on that. Unfortunately for that, we did have to cut down our beautiful, beautiful rose garden. I just loved spending time there with my Bama. But anyway, we cut down that rose garden, and she installed two sets of swings, where you can swing. And in the middle, there was a monkey bar where my brother could, hang or play. Um, and it was a big hit with all the kids in the neighborhood because think about it, back then every neighborhood didn't have a park. Even if it did, it didn't have like a jungle gym kind of thing. Our neighborhood definitely didn't have a park because, like I said, it was still up and coming. Homes were being built. So, so she built this. She got this built, and it was like a blast. Like, my fondest memories are on that swing. I sat on it forever and ever and ever, even all the way up until I left that home. I was when I got married at like 19. My favorite moments, my joys. Sometimes when I would be sad, I would go and sit on that swing and swing. So something very precious that my mother gifted. To my brother and me. Of course, my brother didn't use it much because it was like a swing, and he was already 14. But I used it a lot. Like even when I was sometimes stressed, or very happy or very sad, I would go and or angry, I would go and swing, and I became really good at it. I could do all kinds of tricks. So that's something that she did. Around this time also we had they remember I was telling that there was a dirt road, but the development was like more and more homes were getting built. So they actually put a tar road in front of our home. That's the first time I saw tar. And again, I would like collect all this. We would wait for the tar truck to pass, and we would collect all the tar and bring it home and make shapes with it. Um, and sometimes it would get stuck in our nails. Also, another Muslim family, and now because of me asking my mother like what Hindu Muslim, I actually knew that I was Hindu, and there was a Muslim family moved across the street. So we were all one big gang now, and it was so multicultural because there were kids next door who were more or less my age, a little bit younger than me. And then there was, of course, my brother and me. And then the family across the street was Christian. The family next door to them was Muslim. And this new Muslim family who moved in. We were so eager to see if they had kids our age. And we forget the small pleasures and small wonders of life when we have kids. Whenever a new family moves in, we first want to know, do they have kids? And we used to get so disappointed when some older couple moved in or some college, students moved in. We would be so disappointed. But the minute they had kids, we would be like thrilled that they had kids. So these people had three kids. Just so they had one kid who was 1 year older than Arun, so 2 years older than me. And there was a girl who was my age, and they had a younger brother who was 2 years younger than me. It was just perfect. So we all formed this big gang. Some very happy memories I have from that age 7. So I'm going to conclude this. We covered a lot of memories, but I think what I take away from this is two things. Okay, like we as human beings, it's all very fine to say, are you right brained or left brained, but actually all of us have both sides in us. You may be a very good mathematician, but you may be also very good singer or painter or dancer. So never forget to give attention to that side of you that brings you bliss. It's good to be very good in studies, of course, because eventually that's going to lead you down a path which gives you financial freedom when you grow up, gives you a good job. So it's very good. It's very important that to be good in studies, but never forget to pursue or invest in items that give you joy. Whether it's like it's sometimes you think there's no money coming out of it, like I do interior decoration. I spend a lot of money on it, But don't neglect the joy that comes out of items that, that you can pursue, that'll bring you joy, that'll stay with you even when maybe you'll have no friends or something. But like that swing was with me whenever, it was always with me, never go anywhere. So never hesitate to spend money on items that give you joy. And the other thing that I also learned, and I will say that's important, is for people, relationships, never develop a relationship of fear with anyone. That's not a good sign. And never operate out of fear. If it's anybody, especially for people who are in authority. So if you're at a job, if you have a team, like when you all grow up, you might have a team of people. Earn their respect. Don't try to make them fear you. Do things that earn their respect, and that same way as parents or as children, like, learn to respect your parents. And if you're a child, and if you're a parent, like, try to earn the respect of your children. And even my relationship with God is not of fear, it's of one of extreme devotion. That's what it was when I was younger, but now it's one of extreme thankfulness. So I practice gratitude and thankfulness with God. That's what my relationship with God is. It's definitely not something fear. Oh, like, if I don't do this, something will happen to me. No. uh, Whatever happens to you will happen, and it's happening for a reason. So, lot said here, and that closes episode 7. And my next episode will be continuation of episode 8. Thanks.